in honor of the latest verses. What's up, Queen? You had your window open?
Yes.
Oh, that's what I'm hearing.
I don't hear anything.
I can hear it.
Quiet. There's no
Yeah, because it's on your end. But if your window's open, I'm getting all that other sound from the outside. You can't close your window. The way Shanti is looking like, I'm not closing my window for y'all. You have a fan on.
I could. But like I have to close. I have 3 windows open.
Don't show off on here and talk about how many windows you got in your room. I'm trying to think. I got 3 windows in my room too, Queen.
Should
Go ahead and close all 3 of them, John.
No, I will die.
No. Shanti, you have a fan.
Literally die.
Shanti, that's what I have in my house right now. I'm hot. I got a fan blowing on me as quietly as possible, and then I got the ceiling fan on.
And all your windows are closed?
Every last one of them, because you would hear the soundscapes of Flatbush.
You still do.
Wind your ass, girl. That's all you hear. And beeping and honking. Oh, she is so mad. If y'all are on Patreon, you can see how defeated she just stood up to close her windows. She looks cute, though. She just braided her hair. It's giving Zazie Beats, the girl from Atlanta, the woman from Atlanta, who Shanti actually likes very much. So this is perfect. She's wearing a nice green pant. It's giving grown. And then she has a nice cut-off arm, showing her guns a little bit. And her very lovely bracelets that she has from the Sable Collective. Sable Collective, if you do not know, is a store that is owned by Shanti. Sorry, I was just...
Were you doing an infomercial for me?
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
No problem, Queen.
Thank you. That was sponsored by Sable Collective.
I ain't getting no money.
You get 25 cents. Yeah, man, I'm just getting ready to go away. I'm going to take a week away. I'm going to be childless. And the way the shaitan, the devil, the dark side wants to allure women, especially mothers, to feel shame.
Shame.
To feel guilt. To be tempted to have catastrophic thoughts. To think that you're ruining your child, you're making bad mistakes. But taking some time to yourself is just... telling you, it's just a mind fuck. And it be the people closest to you. It be the people closest to you. It be the
Are
people
they watching your kid? Is that why?
It be the people that don't know how to ask for help and go beyond what their boundaries are and then flip it and weaponize you versus them just saying, oh, no, what they can and can't do. And then you're like, anyway, and then do it with just a mind fuck. It's just, it is emotional, psychic acrobatics out here in the streets for folks. And I want to empower and let mothers know that it's okay for you to take a week away. You don't need to feel ashamed. Your child will be better for it, to be completely honest, especially the folks that are holding it down majority of the time. And so don't let Lucy get to you. Lucy, she trying her best. Oh, I'll fuck you up. Speaking of Lucy, I'm watching Stay Sweet on Netflix. Have you seen that?
What is it?
Stay Sweet on Netflix is a documentary about Utah Mormons. They are wilding over there.
Who? Mormons?
Mormons are, that's that modern religion for you. You know, it's just started in like 1907, like Jebediah Springfield started it or some shit like that. It was just some man in the 70s like, yeah, I'm God. We get bitches. We get money. We homeschool our kids.
I don't know if that's what it is. But okay.
You guys, I gotta
No
go
caffeine,
to hell.
no alcohol. I remember going to Utah, and it was a Mormon school that I had to go to for my old job, and I felt so uncomfortable because, how I present. And then I'll never forget, one of the people that I was with was like, "I need some coffee. I'm really tired." And they all looked at him and was like, "They don't have any coffee on the campus or
Not the
anywhere."
black man's energizing liquid. Hell no.
Yeah,
That is the devil.
yeah.
Anyway, it just shows the power of community. Community can go two
It's
ways.
tricky. Community is like water. It could nourish you,
It can drown you.
or it could drown your monkey ass. You'd be like, "Wait a minute.
You better
I ain't
wait a
asked for
minute.
all this."
They were.
Tricky.
Let me tell you, that was community with a capital T, TEA. They was sipping some kind of Kool-Aid, but it was a sect of Mormons. Shout out to all the Mormons. I'm sorry. Also,
Canceled. Yo, you can't do that.
I can't understand it. It's okay. I'm a Gentile, I know, but this man, he looked like Bill Gates. It'd be the nerdiest niggas that got the most power, number one. You think it's these strong men that are wielding it.
No.
Oh, man. It's disturbing. But also, their community was tight as fuck. Just like, oh, what, when you put your mind... That's all landscapes.
Soundscapes. Landscapes, you said?
Oh, child.
Tricky. It's okay. We're learning every day. You help me, I help you. Keep going.
Listen. That's all I gotta say. The power of community is real. If we all organized like these whites, they had from head to toe. Girl, they had their... Listen. They would put their boys to work, right? And these were skilled workers. So they were like contractors, agriculturists, like farmers, and their labor was free because they used the church would use the labor of the boys, and they're thousands deep. They're just procreating with their cousin, their second cousin. They just like mice out this bitch, just having mad kids. And all the boys,
about to get. You
all
just
the
called
boys,
the Mormons mice.
it's
Getting tricky.
This particular sect, particular, the FDL or FLD, something like that, something with F. They had nothing but free labor in terms of, and doing construction work. Do you know how expensive construction work is? Half of the budget is labor, free labor. Guess who their contractors were?
Who?
Walmart, Amazon. They were making millions of dollars with free labor.
You lie.
We gotta watch this shit. It's fascinating. I love watching it. Them whites.
Wow.
Not a black soul in sight. They said, I'm telling you, Jebediah
They
Spring.
said Juneteenth.
Oh, and they love America. That's another thing. It was interesting. Anyway, those are my updates. That's what's going on in my world.
My update is that I worked out 3 times last week, and my body feels like I ran a marathon, and I'm so upset by it, but I'm going to keep on going. I'm like, girl, you ain't even do that much. And they were not that hard of workouts, Shanti. They were not what I used to do. Like, I used to be in there jumping like a chimp from bar to bar and acting a rank fool. This was not that. This was like dumbbells, simple squats, curls, and I was tired. And but you got to start off somewhere. So be back at it.
Go ahead, girl.
Do some more today. But I just couldn't believe that old age thing crept up on me the way it did. Yes. I said, oh, wait a minute. I feel it. I'm feeling it. Then I went to a march. Obviously, we're going to get into this. You all knew. And it was so interesting. Everybody was like, I can't wait till around the way. Not everybody, because we ain't. I hate when people do that. But some people reached out. Like, can't wait to see what they got to say about this. We're definitely going to get into the Supreme Court Justice's ruling. But I did go to a march. And while I was there, I was saddened, if I'm being completely honest. I went back and forth about going, but my homegirl, shout out to Angie, wanted to go. Her man's kids wanted to go. and they had never been to one. So she was kind of like showing them the ropes. And I was really happy to see these young girls out there engaged. But I just thought, like, how many marches have I been on? Like, I had a blister on my foot. I had Birkenstocks on. I had sneakers on. But how many? What does it do? What are we doing? I guess it's to, it's to have create some awareness. It's obviously energetically, I think I needed it. But in the grand scheme of things, I just felt saddened. And I was saddened too because there were little to no black men there. Mm. And I passed one in Brooklyn, so it's not just where it was located. And little to no black men. And the black men who were there were very obviously of the queer community, which grateful to you. But not many at all. Lots of cis hetero white men out there with their signs, with their women, in full support. So that was interesting to me. But a friend of mine did bring up a point where he said he felt like a lot of black men specifically don't say anything. And I'm not giving them a pass on this, but they don't say anything because the narrative is like, my body, my choice, shut the fuck up. You don't say anything about my body. You shouldn't be talking. Like, men should not be talking about women's bodies. So a lot of people interpret that as, all right, well, I'm going to shut the fuck up. But really, it's like, no, we need to. But that's the thing. I don't excuse that. But he was saying, and he doesn't, he was just saying, like, unfortunately, a lot of men are like, well, I don't know where I fit in this conversation, and I'm not going to try to figure it out because it just feels like you damned if you do, damned if you don't, and I'm good on it, which is not the energy we need. I think that a lot of more men should be engaged in this fight, and I think that
women don't just have babies passively. You don't just wake up. Ain't that many Mother Marys out there, child? We were questioning if there was even the one. So
no, that part. But I completely agree with you. I think, I don't know. But that was interesting. I do want to read, I want y'all to know why I'm crazy the way I am. You and I were talking about our white moms. And you got a text from your white mom when this happened, and you won't read it. I just want you to read half of it, and you won't read it. It's so funny to me. But my white mom went the fuck off, and I can't read all of her texts because the government might come to her house. But she writes, haven't been able to respond, been really, really, really upset. This is an assault on women's rights, and it has me shaken to my core. 50 years gone. The Stepford era is upon us again. I go from crying to anger. Let Congress know that let Congress know we the people refuse to pay for the protection of Supreme Court justices and their families when they refuse to protect us. Let's place every victim of mass violence along at their doorsteps and every unwanted child at the White House steps. Buy your over-the-counter pregnancy test now before companies gouge your eyes out because the day of having a positive pregnancy test on your medical record is gone. They better have put money aside for the mega increase in child abuse starting today. And they need to start hiring a ton of social workers. Let us boycott every state. No vacations in Florida. No Disney World. Let us not buy one product from the states with the strictest restrictions. Help in your neighborhood to organize, to get people voting. It's not easy, but with many of them now in the opposing party, we must fight. I said, no, she did not write a speech. Like
she did. That was
a way she wrote it.
Barack Obama's speechwriter?
I was just like, wow. When I read that, it was like, let us not. It was the way that she wrote it. And what she's saying is it's not. And she said a lot more that I, again, will not read. But I love that my mom, when she gets activated in this way, starts speaking like that. It's not like, I'm so upset. It's not first person. It's just she is on the steps of the White House and speaking. And it's just so great. So that is partly why I am as crazy as I am. And my dad called me his sweet soul and was like, I'm just checking on you. I want to call a check on you and your sister because this affects y'all, you know, and I'm here to fight. So I appreciate my parents. And I also want to give a big shout out to my dear friend Black, the new Black. If you follow me on social media, you see me post him all the time. The new Black, no vowels. He is an artist, a musician, a painter, a photographer, a sketcher. I don't know all the things. I guess multimedia artist would be more appropriate. But it is his birthday. He is bringing in cancer season with a bang. So,
Cancer man.
All the cancer out there.
Interesting.
And all the cancers in general. 2 cancers I love in my life, my sister and him. So shout out to you. You know who you are.
Tina is a cancer.
Tina is such a cancer. So, yeah. Happiest of birthdays. I'm actually tired because we were celebrating and playing table tennis until the wee hours of the morning. Because that's what we do. We grown and we play table tennis.
I love that. Are you getting better? Are you like?
I won 3 times yesterday. 3, but I also think I won because he was trying like some new serve thing, and it wasn't working.
You're just his guinea pig.
Yeah, basically, he doesn't really treat me with any real respect, so it's okay. But I am getting better, but I had not been doing it for. I haven't done it in a minute. So anyway, also I want to thank everyone who has went online and rated and subscribed and shared and commented on Around the Way Curls. Please continue to do that. Much appreciated. I can see it having a bit of an effect. An impact on our listenership. So please continue to do such things. All right, hot shit. Where we at? Late.
In my Netflix, shout out to Netflix and the 300 more employees. Netflix is going down. They just laid off 300 more, a total of 450 employees, many of which are Black women, because they don't give a fuck. But anyway, I have been on Netflix. I watched that Stay Sweet, and now I'm like, what do I want to watch? I need to be distracted. Listen to my thoughts. And so I started Ozark. And I just love to see white
15
men
years late all the time
do their devilment. I love watching cunning white men and the illegal shit that is just pervasive in this world. It's like great to watch on TV, but also all that they do the majority of the time. But they are acting their asses off. Oh
it gets even better. It gets even better.
What's his name? What's the main character?
Jason Bateman.
Yo.
He's so good.
He's so
Laura Linney is good too.
Good.
Yeah.
I can't even. I don't
have you met Ruth yet?
Yes.
You know Ruth?
Yeah.
Ruth is incredible. And Ruth is now going to be playing, that actress is going to be playing Madonna in a biopic.
Makes sense. Perfect sense.
That's so
I love that.
Yeah.
No, I fuck with Ruth. She's an interesting character. But I am with the shit.
Buckle up, baby.
I'm excited for it. I have yet to finish the season, but I'm here for it. I want to shout out Philadelphia. I mentioned last week that we attended the Juneteenth celebration, in which a lot of just fine-ass Black people were out. Like, zaddies were out. Milk duds were just abundant. The Black women were just showing up and showing out. I loved it. And the folks responsible for organizing that event and have some more events planned for the summer are called the Black Soul Summer Series. So if you go on Instagram and you search that, you'll stay connected with them and all the events that they have. The next event will be on July 16th at the Sunflower Garden. I don't know what it's called. Sunflower, John? I don't know. Something Sunflower. The event's called the One Love Block Party. So again, the last event was just back-to-back DJs, good vibes, free drinks, vendors. Sable Collective was out there. It was fun. Try to get Antoinette to come out to this one.
I'm coming.
If Antoinette on the scene, and it's the place to be, because Antoinette only shows her faces in places that
is not
are
true.
Popping. So the princess is coming. So come out to Philly, come say hi, and that's all I have.
I want to bring some attention to Jasmine's new track on the Elvis movie soundtrack, which I thought was interesting. But I'm happy that she's getting into soundtracks and things like that. Maybe she can fuck around and get an Oscar one day. But she sang "Motherless Child" with the help of somebody's choir, and baby, it's 2 minutes and 44 seconds of artistry at its best. I said, "What the fuck?" It's just weird. Like, I played it last night in front of folks, and we all just sat there afterwards and was like, "What do you do with that?" Like, I can't. What do you do with it? It's silly. It's silly. So, have you heard it?
No, I'm excited to listen.
Oh, she tore it up. So make sure you check that out. It's just, I wish we had more of this sound from her. It's probably my favorite sound, but she
I can't wait
ate
to keep. I hope she can perform it live somewhere. Again,
I don't know how prominent it is on the album or on the soundtrack. I don't know if it's like a prominent song in the film, or I don't have any interest in seeing the Elvis film. I think everybody's
really upset about this movie. But
yeah, I think her involvement, there's a lot of Black artists involved in the soundtrack because they were trying to make sure they highlighted the fact that Elvis was inspired and stole Black art. They didn't say stole, but inspired. Buy it tricky. Next up, this is not an ad, but for everybody that has stomach problems, and people know that I have stomach problems, there is a new prebiotic soda drink. It ranges from 15 to 20 calories, and it is delicious. It's called Poppy. It's expensive as fuck. This is $3. Sometimes it can be more than that. If you buy a case, the case of 12 is like 20 something. It's stupid, but it really does help, and it just tastes delicious. And if you can treat yourself once a month to a case, I highly, highly recommend it. And when I get smart enough to know what the difference between prebiotic and probiotic is, I will. You won't talk about it. I will talk about it because information is at our fingertips at all times.
Before pro.
Yes, we know that.
Stimulates pro-black. Pre is before blacks.
Come on, Kai. Come on. I love you.
That's Latin at its best right there.
That's that prefix shit. All right. But yeah, check that out. And I think we need to talk about gut health on this podcast. I really do. I want to find somebody more knowledgeable than I.
Secret. I'm at a very young age. No, when I started wearing my denim skirts and when I went through my Afrocentric spiritual phase, 16, 17, I was obsessed with poops. I've read all of the colonic books. I have to send you this one book. And enemas, high colonics. I think we don't talk about poop enough.
No, and it's a real indicator of your health. Yes.
Disease starts in your gut.
Disease starts in your gut. Cancer can start in all of that. Dis-ease. Your body has to rid itself of that waste. I just saw that most people are walking around with 10 to 20 pounds of toxic waste in them. Just sitting in there rotting. That's terrifying.
But he takes pictures. He's a doctor that does treatments, high colonic treatments. So the pictures start with people that have inflamed, swollen ankles and peeling skin.
Mm-hmm.
Sick. They're sick people. And then he shows the treatments. Week 1, where he does the high colonics. Week 2, week 3, and he shows them just go back. Their body just heal itself.
Yeah.
And then he shows the waste that he pulled out of the people's bodies. And again, for a little kid, that shit is lit. You're like, whoa, look at all these types of poops. And it's terrible. It's terrible what he's just
Hold on. It's
what's wrong?
It's a mosquito right here, and I'm gonna get it. Hold on, child. Because it's been beating me up and terrorizing me. Bitch. Got it too. All right, moving right along. Versus, baby.
Ooh yeah.
Ooh yeah. Baby. First of all, for all of the East Coast watchers, that was hell.
Ah!
It was. It was like, I gotta go sleep. I gave up on it after a certain amount of time. I was actually with, that was supposed to be part of my update, hanging out with Asante and Zeus Network. That is hell. I'm going to bring that up at a later date. But versus Ray J and Bobby V versus Pleasure P and Sammy. That was a mess. That was just lawlessness. I was frustrated. I was entertained. I was embarrassed.
And
I was ashamed.
I was like, is there a technical issue? Like, what? Is it the mics are super, super clear? Or do these niggas really sound like this?
They sound like that. They sound like that. Ray J wasn't getting any respect.
Did he deserve it, though?
Ray J, I just feel
Ray
so.
J
And the saddest part was that Ray J has tunes. Listen to me, tunes. He's got tunes, and it's Ray J. And I think now that Versus is not just you sit there and play the track. Now it's like you come out and actually perform it, and it's your swag is on display, your this, your that, your sound, performance, the history of you. Poor Ray J. They were arguing and fussing with each other. It was like
pathetic.
That's the word. And you know what? I saw a tweet that said, "Hear me out. All of the openers for the last verses, let's get them on a reality show ASAP." And I'm like, that would be brilliant. The way that they were fussing. I just couldn't. These grown men. And I was shocked by Pleasure P. I really did not think. He sounded good. And Sammy sounded the best out of all of the openers.
Sammy's
little grown self. I said, Sammy sound good. But baby, that Bobby Valentino.
Omarion.
Ray J. I said, what happened?
Omarion.
We didn't get there yet. We're going to go. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. We can go. But I'm praying for Ray J and them, because that was a mess. And then what's his name? The host dude, D-Ray. You know what he got himself into, and then he just resorted to being as nutty as they were at times, and he would try to reel it in awkwardly. It was just like, get the fuck off the stage. And then they were so angry. They were talking shit about Swizz and them because they wanted to keep performing. I say, y'all, stop. Stop.
Can you see what happens to these men that got a lot of attention at a certain age for doing very little?
That part, wow.
Their work, what is it? What is it called? Not workmanship. What's showmanship? They never really had to ever have true showmanship. They aren't, could you imagine Michael Jackson or somebody up there? Like, y'all ain't have Joe Jackson as your dad. Y'all ain't have no fucking training at all. And it shows all you had was attention that you didn't deserve and this entitlement that your old ass
that is a good ass point,
stink ass gonna go up there and blow the fucking roof off with no actual training or talent. Get the fuck out of here.
Child. Well, so let's get to the main event. I said on See the Thing Is, I was nervous for Mario because I did not think Mario had the tunes. And honestly, if we're thinking about it, Omarion probably does have a larger catalog than him. But Omarion embarrassed himself to a degree that I felt terrible for him. I really did. I woke up and thought, I hope somebody checked on him because the embarrassment that he must have. Oh, and then I was thinking to myself, and his ladies with Tay, well, his ex is with Tay Diggs, and I got it. I was like, oh, she likes cornball guys, but Tay Diggs is actually like really talented and funny and corny, and so it's just a better. It just fits. But that Omarion and Mario was mean. Mario was
from Baltimore.
mean.
Stop fucking playing with me.
Yo, and it showed. Like,
And
Mario came out there from the gate with playing him about the B2K not being there, and he knew why B2K wasn't there because the dude was sleeping with his lady. God, his ex. It was just messy, and then Omarion's, his rebuttals were really bad. Like, it's as if he's never been on Twitter or heard nobody read anyone before. He sounded not very good. He brought his brother out, and it was so cheap and gross with the watermelon stunt that I guess he thought went viral because his brother was eating watermelon on Good Mom's Bad Choices, but it wasn't viral enough because everyone was just disgusted. It just was a disaster for him.
With brown skin privilege, you can see the consequence of brown skin good hair privilege.
Up.
Yes, it is.
But Mario,
there is a spiritual consequence to brown skin.
Let me tell you how I'm
Indian hair as a man. It is.
I'm not touching that.
You think, but you don't have. Get it together.
But shout out to Mario because Mario can still sing. I don't think Mario is as good as everybody was like. Mario is one of the best voices. I said, all right, he was off a little bit too at times. But Mario had some shit. And a lot of it, honestly, a lot of their catalog, I did not know. People were singing. I was like, I don't know what the fuck this is. But the stuff I did know, I was with the shits. I really was. But I didn't realize that Mario had written certain things for people either. Either way, Omarion, I think, had 0 wins from that night.
And then Fizz, I was never I was never an R&B girl. But apparently one of the kids, Fizz from B2K, went in on him online, ripped him
all
apart.
Of them did. They all did.
Because apparently Omarion did them all really dirty. He played really dirty. And again, wanted this attention.
He went back
entitled to attention that he didn't deserve.
Well, he was the lead of the group. I don't know what he did dirty. I don't know the ins and outs of that. But Fizz was also the one I think that was sleeping with his lady right after. That was a mess. A full relationship with his baby mom. That's tricky. But Baby Verse is a mess. It's a hot mess. And I keep seeing in these fucking comments Chris Brown and Usher, and that makes me so mad. I think it's disrespectful to Usher. I really do. Usher paved the way for Chris Brown. That is weird to me. Chris Brown and Usher is weird to me. Usher has a diamond album. No, I don't like it. But, Shanti, someone hopped in my DMs and said, okay, hear me out. Usher versus Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
Now, when I said this to you yesterday, you were like, oh, that's it. That's it. And then I have an unpopular opinion, Shanti, and I think you may as well.
What?
After sitting, last night I sat with Justin Timberlake's catalog, and I went back and fetched it, Sankofa moment, even with the whites. And I put a playlist together.
I said, blasphemy.
Unpopular opinion, Justin Timberlake will wash Usher.
No.
I hate to say it. I said it.
You're taking it too far now.
He will wash him.
With this as well.
He will wash him.
Listen.
I'm going to let you talk, but I'm going to let you finish, but I'm going to come back with why. But go ahead. He will wash him, Shanti. I don't want to see it for the culture. I will be upset. I'll be like, not this white man up here watching Usher. We don't need it. No. Civil rights. I would be really upset. But I'm telling you, even if Justin did, go ahead. I'm going to let you go. Go ahead. Even if Justin didn't tap into his NSYNC shit, because that's probably not going to play with that audience, he would still wash him. And it hurts, it pains me to say it. Okay. But go ahead.
Let me say something. Now, when you said that,
wash.
I felt it because I've been searching for the person that is his contemporary, right? Like, It's for me in the Usher versus they have to be contemporaries in some way. I don't think that Chris Brown is unreasonable because Usher paved the way for him, because I don't think Usher is that. I think Usher is beloved. I think Usher is talented. I think Usher caught and rode and hung on to and created in some ways a wave that really impacted the culture at a specific time. But Usher's not innovative to me. Usher's just on the back of Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson. And Chris Brown is continued in that legacy of like this kind of like dancing, singing phenomenon. But when I'm thinking about the contemporaries of Usher, it's either a woman or it makes sense for it to be Justin. It makes sense to me. I think it could be Justin Timberlake. It could. It makes sense. Would we ever want to see that actually happen? Should we allow that to happen? I think not. I think that Justin...
Who would win, Shanti?
I don't know.
Who would win? You gotta say it. Confessions does not... I played them back to back. Okay, go ahead.
Confessions against what Justin Timberlake album? Don't say 2020 Vision, because it ain't it.
Wait, it's not... No, this is track for track. Confessions, the project, is better than any... I think as a project, it's went diamond. It's like the project is like, oh shit. But Confession, you play Seduction and then you play Rock Your Body. The things on a versus stage, it doesn't match. Like Usher can't keep up with the powerhouse songs that Justin has. Like, and you gotta realize that Justin had a
show. I don't agree.
It wouldn't. I don't want to see it. It's scaring me.
It should never happen. Don't they dare think about making that happen. That would be... Girl. Now put on the Usher song.
Only Justin.
No, that's not fair. That's... No. Not Sierra.
You hear this? He has a Pharrell and Timberland era. Do you hear this?
What's his name? Had the what's the name, boys?
Do you hear this?
I hear you.
Do you hear
I
it?
hear you.
Do you hear it?
I
Do
don't
you hear it?
I don't. I think he's up there with him. He's up there with him.
Shanti,
he's his contemporary. He is. Girl, into that. No.
You forgot about this. Wait for the beat to drop.
This is anti-black. Let's stop this conversation.
It is. That's why I don't want to see it.
Stop. No.
And then you got it's trick. But wait, the thing that took me over the edge.
I don't think you're playing all the
thing that took me over the edge, right, was then when I looked and I said, all right, well, let's see what they wrote. Bitch, Justin Timberlake, Blow by Beyonce, Partition by Beyonce.
Justin Timberlake wrote Partition?
Yes. He co-wrote that with her. He wrote some shit for Reba McEntire that was like #1 on the country charts. Justin be in his writing bag. He also wrote Rocket for Beyonce. I'm trying to tell you, you can't. And I looked up and said, what did Usher write? Usher wrote one song for somebody else, and it was J-Lo's Get Right for the Night. What's up? We can get right up. That does not compare to Partition. I don't ever want to see it. It's anti-black. And then I could just see Timberland up there dancing around.
I think you should edit this out then.
We're not editing it out. I know people are going to be mad at me, but that's not In Sync. Bye. Tricky.
See, the blacks don't fuck with Justin. I love Mirrors.
He has so much. And part of the problem is that Usher has some shit. Like I was naming stuff. I was really in Usher's corner until I put that Justin Timberlake playlist together, and my heart sank.
You putting a playlist together, girl? Whose team are you on?
I put a playlist together to see, like, well, it was supposed to be Justin versus Usher, and then I'd never put Usher stuff in there because I was like, wow. Usher's got it.
Unpopular opinion.
It's an unpopular opinion, but you know what? I'm out here freeing people yet again. It's tricky out here. I'm talking about versus stage. Justin up there flailing and dancing around, acting all crazy. I just don't know. I love Usher to death. Usher has a residency I want to go to in Vegas. I hold Usher. I don't want Chris Brown near Usher because I don't think it works. I think it's
You know what? Usher is aging 50 times better.
You skipped my next thing.
What are you trying to say?
Don't do that. That's rude. You cannot compare white and black aging. That's unfair. But really quickly, I also went through, because of course, Jay-Z always comes up. Who could do Jay-Z? Another unpopular opinion. Jay-Z will wash any fucking body.
Michael Jackson, get the fuck out of here.
Listen to me.
What? What did you just say?
Listen to me.
You think Jay-Z's catalog will wash Michael Jackson?
Listen to me.
I kind of have chills right now. Like, I can't trust you.
Okay.
What?
Listen to me. I went through a Jay-Z playlist that I have. Okay? Listen. The Jay-Z playlist. Let me finish. The Jay-Z playlist has 118 songs on it that is widely recognizable. Half of them were hits. Jay-Z, I need you to understand, is for the record of #1 albums on the Billboard charts. It's not Michael Jackson. It's not Janet. It's not Beyonce. It's Jay motherfucking Z. I don't think that we realize. I didn't realize until I went through that playlist I have, and I'm happy to link it in the description. Let me finish. Michael Jackson as an artist, iconic. Jay-Z as an artist, iconic. I'm not comparing Jay-Z to. That's not my point. I'm not thinking about Michael Jackson. But what I'm saying is, nobody's catalog has been more consistent than Jay-Z. Nobody has 118 songs. Maybe Mike, but I'm talking about Quincy Jones. Then put 118 Michael Jackson. How many albums does Michael Jackson even have? You don't have enough. He died. He doesn't have enough albums. Like I'm saying,
even with the albums that
let me finish.
Michael Jackson against Jay-Z. Jay-Z's gonna win.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not talking about verses. I'm not talking 20 songs. I'm talking about 118. And I don't know all of Jay-Z's shit like that. I'm talking about my personal playlist of these songs I remember on the radio. I remember these songs in the fucking street. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing this shit. Listen to me. 118 of Jay-Z's motherfucking songs. He's up there with Quincy Jones. He's up there with Harold Arlen. He's up there with the great Dizzy fucking Gillespie. He's up Duke Ellington status of repertoire. You might not like him and you might be like, oh my God, it's Jay-Z. He's just rapping. When you look at his catalog, it's wild to me. There's very few people that can bitch, and I'll be happy to play all 118 motherfucking songs. It's retarded. It's retarded, Shanti. I'm trying to tell you,
I love Jay-Z. I agree.
You're not ready.
But Jay-Z, again, I'm talking specifically
about
Jay-Z. Well, you said Jay-Z is up there. And so when you're talking about who's up there with Jay-Z, it would be Michael Jackson.
This is Patreon content. Put Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson has definitely songs that far surpass Jay-Z. You're going to play a Michael Jackson song, I'm Bad, or Thriller, and that shit took over the world. That's not what I'm saying. Michael Jackson.
Way before Bad and Thriller. That's when his peak was going. Of course, Michael Jackson.
Listen to me. No, his peak was not going down in Thriller. You don't know what you're talking about. But when it comes to ABC, all of that shit. When you're going to play the song, and Jay-Z's song is not going to compare in terms of reach, in terms of how big the song is. No. But what I'm saying is Michael Jackson doesn't. I don't know if he has 118 of them.
What does that have to do with anything?
But that's the point that I'm making. You're talking about something else. You're talking about actually the song and how the reach and the depth.
Yes, the artist.
I'm not talking about the artist. You're not listening. I'm not talking about the artist. I'm talking about the actual what Jay-Z put out as his body of work. There are 118 of them bitches that all and more that fucking slap. And What I'm saying is it's very hard. Nobody's catalog. Like, so it's so hard to have a catalog that long and that fucking good. And yes, there are Michael Jackson songs that went and did way more than Jay-Z. You're going to have the Fuji people. Like the Fugees have certain songs that are going to slap harder than certain Jay-Z songs, but they don't have the catalog of him. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't even hold all of the songs that Jay-Z put out. Like, we can't fathom it. When I literally went through and played every single song, and my friend was in the car, like, freaking out. Like, this does not make any fucking sense. I forgot about this. He just put shit out. He just kept, it just was so consistent and wouldn't stop.
That's your argument. Cool. I don't have anything to
I'm not saying that Jay-Z is better than Michael Jackson as an artist.
I didn't say he was better, but if they were to go toe-to-toe, 118, I think that speaks more to
if they were to go toe-to-toe 118 songs, I think,
and I don't know. Still beat him. And Michael would still affect you and tap into you. If you hear
it's not about effect. You're not listening. I'm not talking about effect. I'm saying he would run out at some point. And Jay has more to keep putting out.
And still.
That's all I'm saying. He would run out. Beyonce would run out.
Okay.
They would run out of songs to play.
Quantity versus quality. Quantity versus range.
All of them songs are quality though. They might not be the global sensations that Michael Jackson, some of Michael Jackson's shit was. But every Jay-Z song on that playlist that I have is a fucking A+. Easy.
It's not. I wouldn't argue that, but an A+ says a lot. I don't think so. I don't agree, but we can move on. I don't agree with that at all. That feels. I don't quite understand.
I know. I felt the same way until I fucking played it. Go ahead and put your Michael Jackson plays together. It's gonna be like 50 songs.
I don't do that kind of stuff on there.
And he got 118. Right. Exactly.
I don't.
You talking about pure emotion.
118. And that's what music is, not quantity of how much
that's not what
songs
I'm
you
produce.
That's
not what I'm
Michael Jackson is a worldwide phenomenon from the age
catalog. I specifically said catalog.
Michael Jackson started. Can I finish, Antoinette? Can I finish?
Go ahead.
Michael Jackson started when he was 6 or something years old. I don't know his catalog off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure he's produced and written, if it's talking about his influence and who he's touched, if we're expanding that, if not more than Jay-Z, but equivalent to 118 songs. I don't know. I don't do the history of it, but
as an artist, not what he wrote for other people, as an artist, his tracks, and just so you know, there's no R. Kelly bullshit on there. Just so you know, his tracks, the tracks that are on his albums, 118.
Okay. I don't know the numbers from Michael Jackson, but I'm pretty sure that it's prolific. He's been doing this since he was 6 years old.
Most people,
pretty sure.
And I'm not talking about impact. I'm not talking about how it makes you feel. I'm just talking about pure catalog.
Well,
That's it.
I'll do the research, but I'm pretty sure Mike has 118. He was doing it since he was.
Go ahead, put it together, please.
Probably won't, but
put it together.
That was crazy. Wow. God help us all.
Right. You brought Michael Jackson. I'm trying to big up Jay-Z. That's what people do. That's what they do to try to divide you, y'all. Don't get it twisted.
No, I just don't agree.
She's trying to divide
Jay-Z versus the world. Jay-Z, Jay-Z is wonderful. And I don't think, Usher, we've been looking for somebody that could go against him that feels right. And Justin Timberlake is wrong, but it feels right. I don't know who could go against
Justin
Jay-Z.
Timberlake will wash
It
Usher,
doesn't.
sadly.
It does
I hate
not.
to be the person. I hate to be that person. I'm going to get in trouble again. Justin Timberlake will wash Usher. I hate to be this person. I hate to break hearts.
Wash is a big word. Wow.
He would get him out of here.
Some requirements around this.
And it wouldn't be 20 songs. Justin just.
Well, he looks
Wash
tired, and I hope he's okay.
Wash might be. I don't even know what. Wash might be ridiculous for me to say. I'm saying that he would win, sadly, and I would hate to see it, and I don't want to see it ever. He would win. Usher would stand on his own. Usher has mad shit. I don't think Usher doesn't have anything. That's stupid. But Justin would beat him.
All of those things.
Anyway, go ahead and talk about your Asian white people. Let's calm down.
Well, again, the ways in Justin and seeing whatever he did, I don't know where he was at, DC or where was he? he was doing some kind of step. The whole time I thought he was crip walking. I didn't even know what the hell kind of step he did. But he apologized for it and building his career off of black music. But he doesn't look good. His wife looks wonderful. But Justin, I'm surprised at how Justin is aging. And they say the whites don't age as well. And I think that for the most part, that's true. Except for my white mom. My white mom is doing great. Listen, I'm sure
that's giving bias. She is, but
my mom is aging. She is. My white mom is Asian like a vegan or some shit, like a real Slavic ethnic white. She got some strong genes in her somewhere. But we wanted to talk about some whites that were aging well and that are going against the myth that they just crack.
Is it a myth? Wait.
And do it.
Wait, is it a myth or?
I don't know. Some of them are doing okay. Robert Downey Jr. doing okay.
I put him on there.
He is. This is true. Jeffrey could still fuck. Jeffrey Goldblum could still fuck all. He could get back so many women.
That's more his.
As he gets older, he's just getting the white men.
That's more his kind of way of being too, though, as well. In addition,
he's handsome, and he's only getting handsomer. You know who else is aging well and getting handsomer? Who looks better? Is
handsomer a thing? Stop saying
to me, it is more handsome. I think Larry David.
No, that's where.
If you look at pictures of Larry David.
Larry David is not handsome at all, ever. That's the problem with you.
When he's young.
You might have me on the Michael Jackson thing, but you don't have me on this Larry David thing, Queen.
But when you see Larry David now, he looks better. The balding actually did him justice. And I think he's a swaggy, aging well. He looks energetic. In terms of aging, he still has the swag. He still has the bounce. His mind is well. His skin is good.
His what?
He looks
got
good.
Melanoma. I gotta go. I can't.
I don't know who
Helen
Paul Rudd
Mirren.
is. Who's Paul Rudd?
Paul Rudd is Ant-Man from the Marvels. He looks good.
Oh,
Paul Rudd still looks good. He was in what was that movie, Clueless, and was cute then and still cute.
He hasn't aged nearly, girl.
No, I know. You're welcome.
1969.
You're welcome. Helen Mirren, I just love her, and I think Meryl Streep and Jamie Lee Curtis.
I agree. Sally Fields, she got a little work done, but she's looking good. And
who's my main girl who got all the work? She got a bunch of work done, but I love her. My activist bae. What's her name? You ain't put her down here. My white feminist activist bae, who's also a black feminist too, but she's white. But she understands the difference. She understands the difference. She'd be like, white feminism ain't gonna get us free. What's her name?
What are you talking about?
My girl, Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda looks great.
She's got work done, baby, but it's good work.
It looks good on her. Jamie Lee Curtis, aging well. She looks, and when I say aging, it doesn't mean they don't look old. They're older, clearly.
But they're embracing it in a way that's like...
Yes, they look vitality. They look good.
I think Angelina Jolie's doing well. I do. Her and her daughter. Dancing her little ass off. Little white girl. I don't know what's up with this podcast, but we big up the whites. Because Shiloh, I don't know if y'all saw Shiloh and her hip-hop dance or whatever she was doing, child. Shiloh was out here popping, dropping. She was giving it to the girls. And I said, wow.
I said, Shiloh, go off.
She went the fuck off.
Shiloh.
I think Brad Pitt is aging well. Oh, and David Beckham.
No.
David Beckham?
No. David Beckham looks like good. And his wife looks good.
Victoria got a lot of work done. She scared me.
He still looks good. But Brad Pitt, no. He looks like what he's going to do.
I think what they're doing is wearing their sunscreen. I think they're drinking their water. And for the most part, I think these people are unproblematic and they mind their fucking business. Honestly. On that list,
that's
how many people are all in the how many people are all in the shits? I don't know. I don't think a whole lot. Sally Fields. I think they're all very
Sally Field's been speaking her truth about her abuse
Uh-huh.
as a child, letting it out.
I listened to her autobiography.
Angelina is probably problematic in the rituals and the blood that she drinks and the
I don't think she does that anymore.
anger that she holds inside of her.
She's very angry with her father, but she speaks her truth about it, and she does good in the world.
True.
So if you're white listening to this, I think the way for you to stay healthy and stay beautiful is to drink your water, mind your fucking business, and get behind folks in the fight for equality. There you go. I didn't even realize that until I looked at the list and said, pretty good.
Fuck a filler.
Yeah, that ain't it.
You know what else is I'm questioning?
Gotta be an abolitionist.
This is a real focus on whites more so. More questions than anything. I saw Amber Rose's recent video. Have you watched it?
No, and I did listen to the song. Get your hoe on, huh? Okay.
Amber Rose is back. She has a video with Manny Fresh.
Everyone's favorite lesbian.
Manny Fresh looks like everybody's family lesbian. Everybody got a Manny Fresh in their life.
Let me tell you, you got Manny Fresh wearing that sports bra holding you down. You made it, baby.
She has grills. She's doing a whole ghetto fabulous thing. Grills, chains, twerking. Get your hoe on. And she looks like the white girl from Zola. She feels like the white girl from Zola, where you're like doing this black thing, but you don't like. Is Amber White black? She's saying nigga. Can she say nigga?
Is she saying it?
Yes. Can she?
I think Amber Rose is black. Can you say nigga? It's all confusing to me. Can I? I don't say it.
That's, you know what? And this is we talked about it last week, and it's important, right? Because these ambiguously race beings are coming into the world more and more. These lightly pigmented children are coming into the world more and more.
What are the rules?
Can they say nigga? What are the rules? If you are an eighth black, can you say, if you're a quarter black, no, if you're an eighth black. So, Internet,
I don't think it's an eighth. Listen, her father is Irish and Italian. Her mother is Cape Verdean and Scottish.
Girl. It's
giving white. Cape Verdean is African, but
she's 16th. I don't know
she's not 16th.
That's
a fourth.
She's a fourth black then. So then she has a child. She has a child.
Fractions ain't bad. That was crazy.
What did I say?
16.
Her child. Well, can she say it? What is the math? What are the fractions? Because
I don't
it's
know.
only getting more and more complicated.
Who's saying it around her? What the hell? We don't know what battery was put in her back by Wiz or Kanye or any other many people that she's been. It's just and who decides if she can say it? We need a council. Who makes these decisions?
Because it's the biracial kids are coming, and then the kids that are quarter black mess with somebody else that's mixed
why I'm
as
saying.
Well, and then what happens? And then the culture, everybody's just taking on the black culture. So you think you got a little bit of your ancestry's black a little bit, even though you don't look it, and you walking around saying this word. I think
it has to do more with phenotype now. I do. If you look it, then maybe you could say it. If you don't, you got to shut the fuck up. If you look racially ambiguous.
What if you're
I don't say it, Shanti. If I say it, it's very seldom, and it might be with you. And it's because I'm talking about something very specific. But I don't use that at all. Because
you don't. Well, that's a whole other conversation.
I don't use it because, one, my dad didn't play that. He didn't want to hear that shit. He don't use it. So that's really a big part of it. And two, all the shit I get on this podcast at the time. I think I look black, but people be like, you are racially ambiguous. Shut the fuck up. You light-skinned white thing. And
It's not the pervasive feeling.
that's the energy. That's what you're not getting.
I feel like
Shanti, you don't get it. Phenotypically, you can get away with more shit than me. Period.
Brown skin.
Nobody looks at you and thinks, oh yeah, she's white. Not a fucking soul. No one.
I really think that the N word is now going to become universally used. I think that rule is going to slow. I think within our generation, we're going to see.
I hate to see
it be used universally because it's getting.
Like, can The Rock say it? Isn't he a little bit black? Like, can Vin Diesel say it? I'm sure he says it. So, he looks so white.
We gotta have rules to this.
Mariah Carey saying it?
Mariah can, because that's a real nigga right there.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I gotta go. All right.
She can. You can say it too. I don't.
But Amber can't. Mariah and Amber are the same makeup.
Are they?
They're not the same like Scottish, this and that. But Mariah's a fourth. She's not half black. She has a biracial parent. See?
I remember you saying that.
See? Y'all just be making the rules. They got to be consistent across the board.
It has to be. We need, and again, we're gonna have to reckon with them more and more because these kids are coming. I went to the Juneteenth parade. I saw what's happening. I see what's down the pipeline.
I think people need to call in and let us know their thoughts on this. I really do want to hear the thoughts on this because I'm shaken to my core.
But it has to be infractions. It has to be something that you can measure. It can't just be phenotypic.
I don't think we're getting into like if you are 1/8 black, 1/16 black, we're getting into that shit like that. We fight against that like that.
No, it ain't gonna work. I think it's a cultural thing, and like I said, I think what's coming down the pipeline is that because black culture is so pervasive, and everybody's just adopting the style, the music, the way of being. Niggas won't be saying niggas. All the niggas won't be saying niggas.
You didn't really say this that much until you got with certain company, but I'll leave it at that. If you have thoughts on this, please give us a call at 215-948-2780. That's 215-948-2780. Now, speaking of thoughts on something, I got a lot of messages based on, we into politics as usual, and I'm going to try to run through this quickly. We got a lot of messages about the ruling. A lot of people talking about the house is burning episode. I forget what episode that was. I think it was maybe 5 or 6 episodes back. And a lot of questions came in. I was really grateful for them. There was one girl who just said, like, I'm not being smart. I live in Florida. I don't understand why you're still telling us to vote and this just happened. I was like, cool. Why are you, she's like, another person was like, why is local elections more important now when this is no longer a law? That's also a little bit wrong. Like, even in the question, like, it was never a law, but we're going to talk about that. So I'm going to take my personal opinion out of politics for a second, because something that's frustrating to me is that I feel like democracy can be really manipulative. I was talking to this again with same said friend, and he was saying that so much of democracy is basically you have to be informed. You have to understand how the government works and operates. You have to understand the branches of government, X, Y, and Z. And they're like, the information is out there. If you're not engaged, then you're not engaged and you're not going to be able to affect change. But the information is put out there in a way that is really intimidating. It's confusing. It's complex. And it's really not taught to us in a way for us to comprehend. And that is the matrix that we're in. So I want to go into just making this more practical in terms of understanding what is happening and has happened. And I'm learning as I go as well on some things. I also think it's really frustrating that when you turn on the news, all you get is opinion now. And no one's just breaking down for the newcomers what is going on. So this is my raggedy ass around the way curl attempt to break certain things down. All right. First thing first. So the ruling came down from the Supreme Court justice that Roe v. Wade is overturned. Roe v. Wade is a decision that basically said a woman has a right to have an abortion. And that decision was based off of someone arguing that a woman cannot fully participate as a citizen of this country if she is not in control of her own health care and body. It was a shaky argument, and it mostly because the Constitution does not talk about abortion. The founding fathers weren't thinking about this shit. They weren't thinking about anyone. They weren't outside of white men, to be completely honest. So this was always something that people were fighting over. Now, we have Trump elected. Trump got 3 very conservative Supreme Court justices on the courts. That then flipped the court to be a very conservative court. So we have these 3 new Supreme Court justices, or really it's Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett, but basically they were very ambitious. They did not need to overturn Roe v. Wade. So they could have ruled, because the case that they were overseeing was a case where, I forget where it was right now, it's escaping me. It might have been Mississippi or Alabama, one of these places. But they were basically saying, they were arguing that they wanted, I think, the abortion, that women can't have abortion after 3 weeks. Now, the Supreme Court justice could have said, okay, 3 weeks it is. But instead, they overturned it completely. And what they didn't do, I want to be really clear, they did not say abortion is illegal. What they said was that this right is no longer protected. This right, the ruling is that federally, this is not a protection. It should be determined by the states. So the people who voted, Amy Coney Barrett, a Trump appointee, Samuel Alito, Brett Kavanaugh, another Trump appointee, Clarence Thomas, the Coon Thomas, Neil Gorsuch, they all voted in favor of this.
In favor of it being in the state's hands.
In favor of it being in the state's hands. Now, some of them, and the 3 Democratic, they're not supposed to be, it's not supposed to be Democrat or Republican, but there's just, certain justices are more liberal, which is Democratic. Certain justices are more conservative, which is, they lean more Republican. They all voted to uphold the ruling that Roe v. Wade would stand. So the implications for this are very interesting. So again, abortion is not outlawed federally. What it is saying is that states have the choice. So now we're in a country where certain women in certain states have there's different rules, just like for marijuana right now, right? Certain states, marijuana is legal. You can have a certain amount. Some states you can have a different amount. Some states you can't have it at all. That's basically what's happening with abortion rights. But what's very interesting about this is the travel implications. So varying states are saying they're going to push and say, not only can you not get an abortion here, but you also can be criminalized and brought up on charges. And that doctor can be brought up on charges if you travel from one state to the other to get an abortion. Now, this still disproportionately affects women of color and women without means, and women without resources, and women that just don't have the time to be able to book a trip and go to another state, pay the money for the abortion, come back. Like, not everybody is capable of that. But richer white women who have means will be able to do that with ease. Now, Brett Kavanaugh and his decision, even though he supported states being able to choose, he made it very clear that he was against states regulating a woman's right to travel. He's like, that is a basic right. If they want to travel anywhere the fuck they want, that they should be able to do that. And Amy Coney Barrett said nothing about that. And I think Justice Alito said nothing about that. Clarence Thomas took it a step further and used the ruling to say not only should we look at travel, we should also look into a woman's right to contraception, the right to same-sex intimacy, and to same-sex marriage. Other justices have not made any mention of those things, but it doesn't mean that they don't agree with him. They just did not discuss it in their opinions. And the reason why Clarence Thomas is able to bring this up, it's because the way the ruling went, the rationale for the ruling is saying this was not in the Constitution, so therefore it is not protected federally. That's basically what the rationale was for overturning it. Well, none of those things that Clarence Thomas is talking, contraception, gay rights, and gay intimacy, none of that was in the Constitution either. Women are not mentioned in the Constitution. Black folks are not mentioned in the Constitution. Like all of these things, as society has evolved, there's been amendments. So that's very scary, right? So it's a slippery slope. So now you have these varying Americas where each state has these, they're going to have these tricky laws. And if you're in a liberal state, most likely you'll be fine. And you'll be able to, not fine, you will have access, because I'm trying to take my personal opinions out of this. You will have access to abortion rights and to women's health care. Now it's going to get tricky. So people feel like we lost the fight, and I feel like the fight has just changed. Now it's on a state by state, local level fight. And so now you're going to have a situation where there's going to be infighting within the state, because there are a lot of states that are red states or kind of purple states. They fluctuate between red and blue. Red meaning that it's a conservative Republican state mostly, and it usually votes that way. Blue meaning Democratic progressive state. All that jargon means the same shit. So basically, if you have a Philadelphia within Pennsylvania, and the city feels like they want to make sure women have access to abortion, but the state level feels like they want to outlaw it at the state, now you have this infighting, right? And it's going to be a lot of legality. It's going to get really tricky. And who are the people that are going to be making these decisions? Your local elected officials, which is why I keep saying now is even more important for you to pay attention and vote locally, because now it's in the state and city folks' hands. I also want to clarify that this isn't only something that we can blame on Trump, right? Trump definitely appointed these 3 justices and wreaked havoc on the system, but the Democrats did not codify Roe, even when they seemingly had the power to, and that was when Obama was in office. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg also refused to retire while Obama was in office. She unfortunately passed while Trump was in office right before the election. And that's very tricky because the Republicans hurried up and had a rush hearing because they were in control of all of the government at the time and got Amy Coney Barrett in. But when Obama tried to do that with even more time, it wasn't even that rush. They blocked his Supreme Court justice pick. So that happened. And then it's worth remembering that President Obama did vow to Planned Parenthood to codify Roe into law. And he did not get it done. I don't quite understand why he didn't get it done. I've been doing research all morning and can't find that, but I will circle back on there because those questions need to be answered. But I want to go into what it means to codify something. And that means you're turning it into law. And so the Supreme Court, I want to make really clear, is not a legislative body. The Supreme Court does not make laws. They have judicial rulings that they put out. Like they rule on things. They don't They don't say this is now put into law. Like the president signed things into law. Congress creates laws. Okay, Congress is made up of the House and the Senate. The senators, they represent your state. The House members represent your districts. So those two legislative bodies make up Congress. So when you hear someone say Congress, they're talking about those two bodies. If you hear someone talk about the Senate, they're talking about that specific state body. If you hear someone talk about the House of Representatives, they're talking about the districts within the state. And so the amount of representatives you get for your state is all determined based off of your state's population, which is why when the census is done, Democrats are begging folks to do their census, because otherwise you will not be counted and you will not have more representatives. You know, if you're not counted, then they might take a representative. You have to be counted in the population. But again, this is all, we all have to do our due diligence here to make sure that this system works in our favor, even though it feels like it's rigged not to. And in many cases, it is not. So it's even more of a reason for me as to why we need to make it work the way we can, and then also do some work outside of there. So I want to also make the distinction that the statement that Roe v. Wade was the law of the land, it sounds really good, but that was wrong. Like that, it was never law. It was instead just looked at as a fundamental constitutional right. And so there's this thing called base law. And base law is not an actual law. It's more of a theory of like, well, if the Supreme Court, the highest court, ruled that this thing is a constitutional right, and the Constitution is the law of the land. Like what they're saying is, with it, after reading the Constitution over, it seems like this is covered in this. That means states, they're not going to press it because they're like, we're going to get sued. It's going to go up to the Supreme Court. We're going to lose every time. But no one up until this point made it federal law, which is very sad to me. So why wasn't Roe codified, meaning made into law, while Joe Biden was in office? Well, one, it takes a while. It's not an overnight process. And two, they tried to in February and it didn't pass. Why? Because of the filibuster. So now let's get into the filibuster. The filibuster is a rule that the Senate, the state senators, they're part of Congress. The rule requires 60 votes. You need 60 votes to pass any law, like into legislation. And so right now, because the country is so divided, most bills pass. Most controversial legislation is passed on like very thin party lines. It's very rare for parties to have 60 senators to vote on anything together. So that's why when people say the House of Representatives passed this big bill and then it goes to the Senate and dies, it's because the Senate has this filibuster rule.
Say that again.
So the House of Representatives will vote on a bill first. Those are the people that are representing your districts.
Okay.
Right.
So the hierarchy is district, then the...
Yes, and then state. Then it goes to the Senate and it dies because can you really get 60 people who are bipartisan is the word that they use, but that just bipartisan just means that they stick to their party lines. They won't work across the aisle. Across the aisle just means you're on the left, you're on the Democratic side, and you're on the right, you know?
Polarized, yeah.
It's polarized, thank you. So getting 60 of them to agree on legislature is really hard, which is why it was such a big deal that they actually passed this gun law or these gun rights, because 60 of them fucking agreed on something and they got it done. But the way that you get it done is you have to compromise. So it's this checks and balances. And we feel like, oh, the Democrats aren't doing anything. And that's really dismissive of the system. That means that's an implication to me that you don't understand the system a little bit. Because They're trying, but it's fucking going to the Senate and dying because they can't get people to cross over and vote with them. And so now people wanted Joe Biden to get rid of the filibuster. And that's really tricky because it can come back to bite you in the ass. Because again, if you then have Republicans all in office and you don't have the filibuster, there's nothing Democrats can do to stop certain laws from getting passed. It's a safeguard almost, but it works with you and it works against you, you know? It's very tricky. And so many Democrats also feel like it's incredibly dangerous to do. Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema, they explicitly said that they would not vote to get rid of the filibuster. And more progressive Democrats like Bernie Sanders, he called for it to be gone immediately after that leaked draft opinion came out from the Supreme Court. He was like, we got to get rid of the filibuster. But that is, in a lot of people's opinions, very short-sighted. Because if Trump didn't have if Trump was in power and there was no filibuster, imagine the laws he would have passed. Just fucking imagine. So it's tricky in that way. And then on top of that, Manchin does not support codifying Roe versus Wade. The Democrats don't even have the votes within their own party. Some Democrats don't even believe that it should be law. He's one of the few remaining that does not support abortion rights at all. Yeah. So now moving forward, now you hear this jargon of, women's health and abortion rights are on the ballot in November. And so someone wrote me, kind soul, and they said, well, we'll vote on it in November. And I said, what do you mean by that? Do you think that you're voting whether or not you can get an abortion? And they thought that it was actually going to be on the ballot should they be able to get an abortion. That's not what they mean by that. What they mean is you need to vote so that you can have people in place to represent you to get this changed. And so this is something you should be considering when you're making your decision on who you vote for. It's not actually on the fucking ballot, sadly. So all of this to say, again, the Supreme Court justice did not outlaw abortion. They cannot make laws. Remember that. Only Congress does that, and then the president signs it. They make judgments. And then lastly, I think steps moving forward, I think people need to recognize that states can codify Roe into law for their state. So it's important that you get engaged locally. Like what I'm anticipating is that New York, California, like all of these places have already said, like, nah, this is not a thing. Like, we're going to uphold this, but they need to put it into law at a state point now, at a state level. It's very important. So if you want your voice heard, regardless of which way you feel, local elections are going to be the way to go right now. You have to get engaged locally. It's so important. Local elections, honestly, are always the way. Local elections, that's why people say they're much more important sometimes than the presidential election, because by the time you get to the president, the fucking Congress and the House of Representatives are already in your fucking way. They've already done the damage. And even that's on a federal level. Then if you get to your local city laws, like your city council is so important. Like I see Philadelphia City Council doing so much good, it seems. And so those are the things and the city council members, they're going to have to fight if you're in a Philadelphia right now. And Philadelphia wants certain rights protected for women, and you wind up with a Republican governor. It's going to get tricky. So that is what I mean by that. That is when I say local elections are important. I think I'm going to do more due diligence here in trying my best to explain how all of this shit works. Some of it is beyond me. Something that I can't find and I'm really frustrating is when Miss Ketanji Brown Jackson actually gets to start voting and gets to start having an opinion. She's brand spanking new, so she can't just be thrown on the court, but I don't know the time period. It would have been great to have her, even though we still are not in the majority. I'm obviously a liberal. So It's all very important, and it's layered, and it's not just Trump people. It's not just this, but this is why I get so viscerally upset when people don't vote, because it's a spiraling effect. And these are the people that are changing the laws around voting and making it harder for your vote to count. And it's just so important. And these checks and balances can feel like things are very rigged, but they were put in place, honestly, to make sure that when one party is in government, they're not just doing that the system is not lopsided every time there's a shift in power from Republican to Democratic. But I think that's a problem, having just Republicans and just Democrats, and
I think that's the biggest.
It's such a issue because we're just so divided. But I think it's also, a lot of people are very inspired by AOC, and I've been following up when watching what her response to this is, and her response is the same, like, y'all have to fucking vote. You have to get out here. I get it. And she's very masterful in how she empathizes, empathy, since that's our theme, with folks and their exhaustion, because you're just trying to survive. You don't have fucking time for all this. But as much as I can give, I will. And as much as unbiased I can be, I will. I obviously have an opinion, but hopefully that helps. That's it.
You better break it down.
I hope that made sense. I think I might have messed up a little bit up top, but that's okay. But fuck Amy Coney Barrett. Fuck Alito. fuck.
I
Clarence
don't think
Coon Thomas. I hate him.
I don't think it's crazy or unreasonable that the basis of Roe versus Wade was that when it was won in the Supreme Court was on that one little.
It wasn't strong.
It's not strong. It's too vague. It's too vague. So I'm not surprised or think that that's unreasonable. I think both ways. It's so gray that both ways you say it, it makes perfect sense to me. When I hear this one side, I'm like, "Word." When I hear the other side, I'm like, "Yeah, well, that's true
part
too."
Part of the problem too. Go ahead.
I think that it is. I think, just like you said, it's a good activation for people to be like, "Oh, again, why is voting important? What can I do? Oh, I do have power in this way. This isn't just from the top down." It's from the bottom up that these things are decided. So I am so sorry for all the people that need abortions in those red states that aren't able to get it. That is where the community and that like activation and the funds and money needs to be sent, and figuring out how to get these people to get abortions safely is very important. But the notion of a state deciding that doesn't, based on the way that it was written and the arguments presented, doesn't feel crazy to me. Or feel like a rug definitely was pulled from people, but I think it's a lot. It has gotten a lot of people like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh. And the fact that they're using this same argument, because that's what Clarence Thomas was saying, that, all right, if this argument, we should know what exactly it is. It's something about it's not liberty. It's something about people being able to have certain quality of life.
I said it on The House is Burning. Go ahead.
There's a certain stance that they use to defend women getting abortions, and Clarence is not wrong. He's a demon, but he's not wrong in saying, yo, you guys use this same stance in gay marriage, what is it? Homosexual intimacy. I guess that's, what is that?
It's the Bowery word for
sodomy and contraception. If that shit don't fly for this, it ain't gonna fly for that. And the states are gonna have to decide. And maybe, I feel like it's gonna activate people in a way. I definitely feel activated in a way. It helps me. It makes me. It just makes you want to understand things more. And shit doesn't make sense to name what doesn't make sense. I think and to move away. I think, again, like we said last week, the collective call is to move away from these polarized views. And like, I like AOC. She also has a lot of, like, she speaks a lot about possibility. She speaks a lot about community, and she's not just like, oh, yes, she does mention voting, but she also is really heavy on the community and the community using their imagination and their willpower to create something, to ask for something, demand for something completely different than what we have. And even Bernie Sanders, that was his shit of like, yo, we need to do something completely different within the constraints that we have. Like, the power is within us collectively to change this completely, because it doesn't make it in any other space. In technology, innovation, modernization is like, they're thirsty for it. But in politics, we're still following this old, written, clearly hypocritical text that, like, it doesn't make sense.
They cited stuff from the 1800s.
Make it make sense. Like, everybody should be like, oh, women weren't even thought of. Black people were thought of, if not even fully human. Why is this our moral compass? And it was clearly immoral. What else can we create? Like, that's not the only system. Clearly, it's not equal. Clearly, it's not fair. Like, why is this set in stone? Why is it still just a two-party system? Like, what else can we create? And I feel like this is a great activation for people to start like, oh, we could do this shit. Yeah. And that's why, yeah, I think that's what's more interesting to me, beyond just like, all right, we're all going to show up and vote this change and vote on these different topics, different issues, but also like, what else can this power wield or create? What else, how can we
I need to fact check myself, because the abortion, Roe v. Wade was passed. The ruling came down that Roe v. Wade was not passed because it's not a law. But the decision around Roe v. Wade, the original decision, was based off of the fundamental right to privacy. It was not based off of liberty and justice for all. And so what scholars are saying now is that it should have been based off of women cannot be equal players in society if they do not have autonomy over their body. That's a much stronger and better argument. But that argument, they know, is not going to get passed with this Supreme Court.
It's like you can't take it back to the court. Yeah.
You can take it back. You can, but not with this court. Not with this court. Yeah. And so that's going to be a lot of the legality is going to be around that when it comes to these states and that.
I think what's also really scary is that we may see that the majority of America really doesn't fuck with these with progressive ideas, period. Like, it is a completely, we may see that in these voting, who's to say that in...
The majority of Americans wanted to keep Roe v. Wade intact. To be clear, 2 out of 3 Americans are for Roe v. Wade.
Even in these red states where they're like...
The majority, the popular majority.
We'll see.
Yes.
I wonder with all these things.
There's a lot of conservative, regular, schmegular folks that feel, I would never get an abortion. I morally think it's wrong, but I don't believe that Roe v. Wade should be overturned. I think Americans are better.
It's not a constitutional right.
Right.
It should be a constitutional right.
It should be a constitutional right. I don't think that I have my views should not impact someone else's. And there's so many reasons for abortion. There's so many reasons. So anyway, this is going to be something that we talk about further. I'm currently trying to get someone on to discuss women's reproductive health and different contraception. Like with this thing with Clarence the Coon Thomas, I that scared the bejesus out of me, and my reaction was like, I want an IUD tomorrow. And I just read something that calls to gynecologists for that arm insertion, the IUD, birth control have skyrocketed over the last, like, whenever this came down. I don't even remember,
And
was it
it's
Friday or
again,
Thursday?
it's still people with privilege that can buy that, it can afford that.
Exactly.
They're now
That
affording
have insurance to
resources
do it.
that,
Yeah,
you know, somebody.
absolutely. Anyway,
This is a long. I think I don't know. We can read the listen to the voicemails, but I feel like this is I feel like that was a solid.
we
I feel
didn't
like
take a
that's
break or
solid.
anything. You don't want to, I think we should go into, we can save the voicemails.
I feel like that's a longer conversation, and which is like
Oh,
45
this
minutes
is?
in itself.
So
I
then
think
let's
so.
take a break. We'll come back. We'll do the voicemails because some of the voicemails have, I think one of the voicemail actually has a question. And then we'll just give some final thoughts. We did have a main topic about distractions and priorities that we can always come back to. There's more time for that. Um, but yeah, sorry, I think I got long-winded, but I just really wanted to break that down. So, okay, so let's take a break, Sheila. Take us out, and we'll come back with voicemails. I hope I did that okay. God, I
I
start
think
free.
it.
I'm like Joe Biden. I start freestyle instead of reading what the fuck I wrote. Read what you wrote, and then I'm realizing like you're all over the place. Like you had it outlined in a succinct order so it would make sense. And here you go. You know, Joe can't freestyle.
I think it was good.
Did it make sense though to you?
Yeah. I
Like
mean, I think it should go
codifying.
over. Yeah, codify. I mean, no, that still doesn't. I get it. I get the whole filibuster thing, but it
Okay.
just feels like wow, we've had so many opportunities. I don't know.
I
That
don't
makes
know.
sense.
I want to look that up. Like, why didn't Obama get that done?
Exactly.
And
Why
so
don't we
many
get these
people
things
are just
done?
saying because they just never thought that they were just like it's the law of the land. That's the language, and it just fell off the radar when you have the economy blowing up, and you got North Korea acting a rank ass fool, and you got this, and this, and it's just like at a
I don't know.
recession, and all this shit is
Um,
happening, and he's trying to fix like I, and then you had the border and then you're trying to run again for reelection. But I watched that clip where he said the first thing I would do is codify Roe v. Wade. And even if something is codified, it doesn't mean that the law can't be overturned because Congress will do that shit too.
hmm.
But there's just, like it's hard to do that. There's a certain structure in place. So I just don't know, Sheila. And I hope states can codify it. I think I know I read
That
that.
doesn't make sense to me. How a state can make because that feels
For the
if
state, though,
if
state law.
hmm. And that can't but then if somebody doesn't agree with it, then they take it to the Supreme Court and be like, oh, this shit does not working for me, and then you're back to square one again. And then it's like, but the Supreme Court said, it's the base law. You're trying to do a state law against the base law, and so it feels like round and round we go. I have to pee.
Go
I'm so
ahead.
sorry. Drinking all this water by Devin. Shout out to Devin.
Outside the door, round and round we go. It was too high. Round and round we go. And then there's no like fucking information. It's like it's never clear. Yes, they can. I knew that. I knew I read that. I can't keep doubting myself. States can absolutely codify Roe v. Wade. But now it's overturned, so they have to codify something else. Ah. Round and round we go. Yeah. You know what else really makes me mad? The news isn't free anymore. Half these articles you click on, you gotta subscribe. It's like, even that is classist.
Scary.
Very.
Classist.
But you know what's free? It's Twitter, where everybody just writing shit. They don't know what the fuck they talking about. States, from what I'm reading, they can put it into law. They can't codify Roe v. Wade because it was overturned, but they can pass laws that say, just the same way they pass laws saying marijuana is legal here. So maybe that language needs to be clarified. I can't clarify nothing else today, Joe. All right, you ready? 140. Let me put this in the jar. You typing that in? Ready? Mm-hmm. And we are back. So another clarification is that states can pass laws. I don't want to use the language of codifying Roe v. Wade because Roe v. Wade was overturned, but they can pass laws, obviously, to make sure that women have access to reproductive health care and abortion. So that's what I'm saying to get involved with locally. But shifting gears a bit, we do have a couple voicemails that I do want to play. And let me get that up. And I always love listening to these. I think this one had a question that I thought was really interesting. So.
Hey ladies, I just finished listening to your episode, Blame the Voices in Our Heads. You guys had me cracking up, struggling to do the people work. Antoinette, I just want to let you know that I agree with some points on your whiz take. It is somewhat slow, but the soundtrack, don't get it twisted. Because Emerald City Sequence, You Can't Win, and Ease On Down the Road are still on my playlist. And those be popping when I'm on my morning walk. Just saying. You guys were talking about relationships a little bit. So I guess I'm just wondering your guys' thoughts on something. When or how do you disclose of an invisible disability? For example, if you're diabetic or, you have a complication of that nature. Well, not that diabetes is a complication, but if you have complications from diabetes, like you're blind in one eye or you have no night vision or something of that sort. When you're dating, when or how do you disclose of that information, or do you even really need to disclose of that at all in the beginning? Thanks for your thoughts. Have a good one.
Oh, it's so loud on your end. I'm so nervous about what this is going to sound like. Go ahead, Shanti. I always kick it to you.
I think that is, I'm slow to give an answer to that because I don't have any disabilities aside from my lack of vocabulary and education in so many ways. But no, I feel like that's a discussion around ableism that I don't feel like I can lead as somebody that doesn't have those, never has had those kind of disabilities. So in my first mind, I guess I would say, I don't know, I guess what is holding you back from sharing that immediately? Like if there's shame, if there's insecurity, if there's fear of rejection because of it, I think that's the first thing to explore, and then figure out how to tenderly navigate that for you more than the other person. Like the other person you can't control how they respond to it. All it is information for you to figure out how you're going to navigate with that person. But if it's a tender thing for you, if it's a hard thing for you, I think that should be what is giving the timetable, or like the introspection, or like the be gentle with, versus, somebody finding out, because like in so many regards you can't control it, and also fuck what they think in some ways. Like, I don't know. But I don't know. That feels like something that I would be out of place to advise with no real knowledge.
Yeah, I think that it's deeply personal. I think it's also specific to how safe you feel with the person that you're dating. How you define disability, because people, I think, define that differently. If I was dating somebody that had a disability, I would hope they would trust me enough to tell me. But I would also hope that I provided like a safe space for them to do that. I don't know. I don't know. If it's something like, if you're blind in one eye and they're telling you to, they want you to come drive somewhere, or that a date is gonna, like you have to gauge it. Like, what if there's an activity where, you might be at danger, or they might be at danger? You might have to disclose it then. But I agree with you.
Safety. I feel like safety, emotionally and physically, like, should be your priority in figuring out.
But it's deep. I think it's deeply personal. Like, I truly, again, I've never been diagnosed with dyslexia, but I swear for God, I know my raggedy ass. Like, baby, the way these words be dancing sometimes, I'm like, what? So I don't necessarily feel like I need to tell someone that on a date, because I don't think it's super severe to where like it really impacts me, where I'm not unable to read, I'm unable to, function, or if I'm driving somewhere, I might get confused about which way I'm going. But it is something that I openly talk about, probably because it doesn't impede me, but with my typos. So I too don't feel like I'm in that community enough to really speak to that. All I can speak to is if I was dating somebody, what I would hope that I provide, and what and what they would trust me with. I hope so. I hope someone would trust me with that. But I don't know. I don't know. But safety.
What else would you expect from us? Oh no!
That's so sad. Ciao. I can't stand this. All right. There's one on here that I didn't read, or I didn't listen to first, since we're only doing voicemail. Should I play it? I'm scared. Are you scared?
Yes, we edit that joint out. It's crazy.
Oh boy. All right, let's see.
Hi, Antoinette and Shanti. I want to remain anonymous for this call, but I'm a huge fan. I really love the way you all interact with your social media content and make your followers feel like they're part of the family. But long-time listener, first-time caller. And I just wanted some advice. I have backstory about myself a little bit. I've been working sort of in the same career field for a number of years. I'm 29 years old, so I'm about to hit 30, so a lot of things are coming all at once. And I've reached a certain point in my career that people aspire to. I work now at a collegiate professional professor position, and I'm realizing it ain't what I thought it was. It's not giving what it's supposed to give, but mostly my passion for the field has died out. And while teaching kids is great, there's a lot more mess and drama that I knew was there, but now I'm just at a point where I don't want to deal with. I've worked very hard in this field for a number of years, and now I'm looking for peace and ease in my life, so I'm thinking about making a career change because peace and ease doesn't exist in education, period. So I guess I'm just looking for some words of comfort and advice of, I guess, how would you go about, or what is words of advice would you offer for someone who is looking to make a career change, you know, especially after maybe they've been quote unquote successful, but they're not happy? There are different areas that I'm interested in pursuing, and I'm the kind of person I consider myself a Jill of many trades. I'm pretty competent at everything that I set forth, but at this point now, about to hit 30, I don't know if there's a field that I can see myself in for the next 30 years as far as a career. So mostly, I guess, now I feel silly because now I don't even know what I'm asking for, what I'm seeking. But I guess just what advice would you give, you know, a young woman who is about to step into her 30s but is facing a lot of those, what seems to be 30-year-old questions of how do I make more peace and more happiness in my life, especially when it comes to career. Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up there because I definitely don't want to get cut off and I don't know how to end. But like I said, I'm very grateful for y'all's show, for the content. I really want to make it up to Philly, but work calls. But love and light to both of you all, and keep up the great work. Love you guys. Thanks. Also, this is the same anonymous caller, and y'all were discussing about changing your intros in the voicemail. I think having JoJo, with Sean's permission, saying something about, you know, 1-800-HUSTLES, I think that was hilarious. That's honestly the reason why I called to see if that was if that was the voicemail message. But this is cute too. But yes, everybody loves the hello, Antoinette. Everybody loves it, and we sing it along with you. So, but if y'all want to zhuzh it up, you know, as a personal fan, I wouldn't be mad. But I called to see if JoJo said what y'all said JoJo was saying. But that's all. Love and light, peace and love, money and things. Hope y'all get it all. Thanks.
Oh, we get it all too. Thank you, anonymous caller.
I forgot we said JoJo was going to say that. When I think hustle, this is JoJo. Who this? Come on, Shanti, get on the line.
Yo, you better.
First things first.
Right. You want to take this, or you want me to?
I would guess that what got you here was a lot of will and forward motion, and you pushing that goal up the hill, and that takes a huge toll on you, period. And for you to expect, one, I feel like you're at the top of the hill now, and you got this boulder, and you're like, oh, I don't really want this shit, so you're ready to push it back down, and that's cool. But I think you should offer yourself some time to, one, prepare yourself for the uncertainty and the discomfort of not having certainty in a particular way. Two, some time to recover from the pace and the effort that you've put in, and to like sit with yourself and feel proud of what you've done. And then three, even more time to allow your creativity and your imagination and the possibilities open. I don't know what your financial situation is. Hopefully you've set yourself up in a way that maybe you can take that time. If you haven't, and you know, you are in survival mode in a particular way, that's also very real. But I don't think that takes away the amount of time it requires for us to like calm down, unfold, and then be creative in another way. So I just wish you time and space, and to give yourself that emotional time and space so that you can be clear, to like push a boulder up a hill and then push it back down and then chisel that shit into a wheel is a lot to ask of anybody. And I think you should like give yourself some time to rest and to decompress and recover and be like, oh, actually, I'm going to make that into, fuck this rock. I'm dealing with the soil underneath it. But again, that's time. So give yourself some grace. That's all I guess I would say. And it will come.
I think she asked how do I create more happiness in my life and more peace? And I think you listen to yourself. I think she said earlier on that there's no peace in what she's currently doing. And so you sound very capable. And like you said, you basically excel at what you do. So start putting the exit strategy together. Put one foot in front of the other. I also am hear a lot of people, like she said, I can't think of something that I would want to be doing for the next 30 years. You don't have to. You don't have to. I think that we feel that way because of incentives to stay in a career, money, stability. You get your bonuses, you get more time, you get this, that, but you can recreate yourself if you want. And it sounds like I love that she said a Jill of all trades, because it's tricky when you feel like you have all of this stuff in you and you can't explore all of it because you're kind of stuck in what you said you were going to do and what your career is. And your career takes up a lot of your time. But finding time for the other things, is it possible for you to have a different outlet where you have the stability and you have, whatever else that you're interested in doing? Does that create any more peace? If not, then keep looking at that exit strategy. I've been struggling with this quite a bit, Ashanti, as you know, when it comes to career and when it comes to just carving out your happiness and figuring out how to do life and adult. And 30 is young. You're not even 30 yet. You sound way ahead of where I was. And so I'm proud of you for that. But I think now's the time. Something that I regret, I think, is I don't know if I was as courageous as I should have been always. And I think I'm stepping into that more. But be courageous, be smart while you do it. I saw David Letterman. I love my next guest is that series on Netflix. And he had Ryan Reynolds on, and Ryan Reynolds was talking about how he dropped everything, came to Hollywood, this and that. But he was like, I had plan. Everybody says to do that. And if you have a plan B, then you're never going to excel at the plan A, and you're going to, and he was like, I had plan B, C, D, E, F, G, H. He was like, I had all the plans. He said, because I didn't know if this was going to work, and life is real. So I think listen to yourself, and if you know what makes you happy, go after it in a way. And it might not have to be your career, but pursue the shit out of it. Pursue the shit out of it, and try to find that balance of money, making your money
and dicks, love and light,
and that. Just one more voicemail, and then we'll get out of here.
Oh,
because that was an additional one.
Joe.
But as an aside, I screenshotted this because I was listening to Kanye. I was in my whole bag yesterday, and this is so. We didn't hear this, I don't think. My childlike creativity, purity, and honesty is honestly being crowded by these grown thoughts. Reality is catching up with me, taking my inner child. I'm fighting for custody with these responsibilities that they entrusted me as I look down at my diamond encrusted piece. That's fucking adulting. That's literally trying to figure this shit out. And man, that's it right there. Man, oh man, it's tricky. All right.
I think, and you mentioned it, but I think it's another episode. But creativity is the compass.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Child that survived, baby. All right, one more.
Hello, ladies. I am a, what does the girl say, first-time caller, long-time listener. Discovered you some time ago. I forget how. It's probably like Jade or something like that. I don't know. One of the two friends. But I really love the podcast. It really has been a light in the midst of all of this change that I've been going through lately. I just finished listening to your most recent episode. I think it's called Blame the Voices in My Head. And while I love when you guys go on like specific topic. I really love when you guys do the introspective episodes because I feel like you guys really put a name to, and you just put words behind some feelings. I love the randomness of of Shanti, and I love that she kind of took her love life in her own hands and sent her DMs to her art people, and you guys are living, you know, in love or whatnot. Not to get in your business, but I tend to find myself really relating to Antoinette, and I really appreciate you guys' honesty. Like similar to you, I moved. I definitely had a vision of sharing the space with people. I don't know, but that's just not the case. And I don't know, it's just caused me to be very reflective, which has caused me to be very sad because it reminds me of like being in the space by myself while I'm very proud that I can do this and pay for my space and be, self-sufficient. It is sad that I can't or don't share the space with other people. And I don't want to be a burden, and I don't want to be let down. So reaching out and inviting people, I don't want to say no, so I don't. And I don't know, just looking around and seeing people in partnership and doing what society thinks we need to do as far as having kids and getting married, and I'm just kind of in this space by myself, which is peaceful but lonely. And I hate that I need to be, or I guess it's that I need to be affirmed by, I know I'm amazing. I know I'm an amazing person, but I really do hate that I feel like me being partnered with someone would affirm that. And it's just a sea of sadness that I'm dealing with. But again, I really appreciate you guys putting words to it. I appreciate you guys being so vulnerable. I too need to find maybe something, I don't know, maybe I need to sit with this more, but I feel like me sitting with it is just making me sadder. I don't know. I think my time is running out, so I might call back. But thank you again for just being yourselves and allowing yourself to be yourselves with us. Thanks. Hello, ladies.
Wait.
Sorry, I just called. Literally, I don't know how long ago, but just talking about how sad I am or whatnot. But I did want to add that I mentioned like my friends or people around me and just being in relationships and things like that. And I wanted to add that I know comparison is joy, and that I'm not supposed to look at that, and that everyone's timeline is their own timeline, everyone's journey is theirs, etc., etc. I know I'm aware of that. It's just that, and this is more so in case you play on the podcast. I don't want people to think authority, but no, I get that. It's just that it's easier said than done. It's something I didn't add before. I sort of still in my gut. Something I didn't add before was the fact that I'm also in a transition now where, like, a lot of my long-term friendships have been dwindling and or disappearing. Well, no, they've just been ending. I'll just keep it, not that I'm thinking about it out loud. They've just been ending. And, that TikTok was like, am I the drama? Like, it makes me wonder, am I the drama? Because a lot of these people go on to, again, the kids and the marriages and the whatever. At least so it seems, because I don't speak to them anymore. And I guess this is another reason why I cling to you guys' podcast, because you both, you ladies, I really love your friendship, and you guys really are my friends in my head. Like, even now, I feel like I'm feeling, I guess, because, like, it's pitiful to talk. Who am I going to talk to? You know what I mean? But, yeah, I'm going to like feedback. I'm sorry if I put a drink or anything. Have a great day. And again, thank you guys for being here.
Name?
Oh, man. Did she say her name? I don't think so. Sis, heard you and see you and affirm you and your feelings. Yo, I get it. I had that moment too where I was like, I know I'm fucking dope, and that might frustrate me even more, is that I know I'm dope. And why am I not being affirmed in this way? And it's hard to, and loved and seen in that way,
I mean, partnerships don't guarantee that you're seen, firmed, and loved. You could be out of a partnership and
But
And
that's not what she's
complicated
talking about.
situations and still be seen firm.
That's not what she's
Oh,
talking
no.
about. She's talking about a partnership where she is seen and affirmed. And it's easy to say partnerships don't do this, partnerships are hard and this and that, but it's very hard to go through life seemingly alone and feeling alone at the end of the day. Even though you know that there's people that love you, that self-love is everything, it is hard to do that. And so I want to honor that. I don't want to be like, I also want to say that the friendships dwindling, that makes me sad to hear, especially it didn't seem like there was beef or anything, that people just, their lives were changing. I have one of my best friends up here, and she's, going to be a mom soon, and things are shifting. And so I'm actively figuring out ways for us to stay connected while honoring the shift in her life. And I would offer that to you if you want to do that. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you have to have boundaries. I have another girlfriend who I had to say no to a family event I just didn't want to go to. I wanted to be out and be mixy and be a single woman. And, we had a couple conversations around that and why that is. And I also was honest with her and said, sometimes that triggers me because I want that and don't have it. And so I feel like sometimes I'm living through the people that do, and it can make me sad, and it can feel like, oh, here I am hanging on again. So I get it, and it's going to be emotions that you grapple with, that you're constantly grappling with. But I don't know if it does change when apart. I don't know. I don't know if it changes, and it terrifies me to think that the feelings that I feel, that ache that I feel, will change when a partner comes, because they can always go. And so I don't ever want to be reliant on that either. So I understand the dilemma there. So, but I hear you.
Well, I think existence is hard. Having kids, being partnered is difficult. I think. Yeah, it's all of
Are you talking in the mic?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I can't hear you. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I so appreciate when people say that we feel like friends in their head. That makes me feel really good. Hopefully we feel relatable and we feel like a community, like we're connected, because I feel we are. But it makes me happy to hear that that's what's coming across. So shout out to you, sis. You got some friends over here that appreciate you and love you and see you. And yeah, thank you everyone that calls with the voicemails. It makes it so much more interesting to hear from you. If you have anything that you'd like to say, if you want to tear me up about my Michael Jackson tape, even though that wasn't really what I was saying, it's 215-948-2780, 215-948-2780. And lastly, I just want to shout out the new patrons that are supporting us on Patreon and making this possible. Larissa H., Jamar, and Ann E. And shout out to all the Around the Way men that are coming through with the comfort.
Yes.
A lot of y'all on Patreon trying to be like, what these bitches look like? But shout out to you. Yeah. Welcome to the wonderful world of Around the Way Girls. I think we're gonna end it there, right?
Yes.
All right, and with that, we are out. Whew. Okay, can you send me this? I'm gonna edit Dial stuff and stuff. So Dio, you think tomorrow, the bonus episode? And then this Thursday? I don't feel like whatever. I think, Shanti, the fan, I think you might have to put the air on when we record. Because that joint is super loud. All right, maybe it's something else because I don't. The fan that I have, you can't. I bought it. It's like a special fan where you can't hear it. It's like there's no sound, and it's across the room, and it's my ceiling fan, and you can't hear that. So maybe it's, I don't know. Maybe it's just something with the connection today. But I don't know. I ran the air conditioner for a while so I could cool it down in here before I recorded. But I think that might be. I'll listen back, but that might be the route that we have to go. For the video, I don't think it's going to affect the audio, but the video, I think, is going to sound a little fugazi.
Oh, the video?
The Riverside, because remember, Riverside is not coming through on this. Riverside's coming through on the computer mic, so it's picking up everything in the room. See what I mean? You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So, all right. Are you leaving today?
No, I'm leaving tomorrow.